Yeah. Okay, look. I don't have professional products for art and stuff like that. Well, not art. My hair's a mess. I'm sorry. I did not plan for this video. I just thought I should make it, and I did. But this is, I don't have any professional camera products, so currently I used my hair tie to strap it to a bed. So I'm sorry for the bad angles. we're gonna see if this works. Okay. Now, today we are just going to be drawing. I'm gonna try to figure out how to draw certain scenery and stuff because I'm planning on a pilot for my own little story or show. While I talk to you about certain different things that I find particularly interesting. I know I've talked about AI art before. We could be talking about that depending on where my brain goes today. So I'm either gonna do a landscape or character art. I'm really just gonna go brain. I don't know what I'm doing. But so in particular, I've always liked to make different characters and also tell different stories, and if people have known me before, I'm always constantly trying to make something, always trying to make some sort of art form or art creation or something. Hopefully it gets better when I get glasses. It's gonna come in a few weeks. I just got my eye tested and I found out I was nearsighted. Probably should have had like a script or something to go with this. But I just thought, you know, it would be kind of fun to just kind of make a video, see where it goes. Because I know even if I have a plan with it, probably gonna go off of the plan into who knows what. I'm trying so you guys can possibly see what I'm doing, but if you can't, I'm sorry. I'll make another video, I guess. We're also just gonna be in my bed because this is where I typically just like to draw. I'm trying to figure out a character named Mark. He was raised and born on a farm. And they kind of used him as sort of like a trophy, like, hey, we support the Commonwealth kind of people. And he ends up getting really upset about that because he's like, I didn't want this. And he kind of has to deal with the issues of only really granting this because they wanted to show, oh, look, see, got a token person over here. And he's like, I know, I wanted to earn it. Though, and like, he didn't even want this job in the first place. He was kind of just thrown into it, if that makes sense. But he still wanted to kind of like put the effort in because he's like, okay, if I'm going to be here, I'm gonna do it right. If that makes sense. I always had different style or idea looks. And I'm trying to figure out what this guy would actually look like. And so I'm trying to find but this character, I didn't really put much thought into it, because just like he was kind of like a random token person to help with the Commonwealth thing, he was kind of an extra token person for me to add a little bit more of a different side to the story, if that makes sense. Because right now we're more focusing on the richer side of the community, and then I realized we haven't, in the story, we're not going to be able to focus on more of the Commonwealth people because of that. And so I realized I'm going to need to figure out how to get, I'm going to need to figure out how to get a character that can show that side of the community in this world. And so we just went dead. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna sort of throw it in. But even though I did that, even though he didn't have a lot of thought into it, Mark ended up being one of my favorite characters, because his character forced me to do a lot more research into some things, because I like to see I always liked to see certain aspects in people's history and things. And since I was thinking about if I'm going to be adding two of the main cast being my brain does not want to work, being like kind of like darker skin toned people, I realized I might need to do some research into that. And lucky enough, I have a friend who is part of that community, so she is able to help me learn some things about the culture and aspect of that. But from some other aspects, I really just have to go online and research it, which is fine. I enjoy that, because I like to go down little rabbit holes of research, but I always worry that there's so much of the internet that gives false information, and I know that can happen because with a lot of different things about autism and ADHD, I have ADHD, so I know some of the information that they spread is false, and also heard it from a doctor themselves whenever I do a therapy session with them to discuss it and stuff like that. And then my friend has autism and was explaining about the whole vaccine thing, but just from knowing that information, I know the internet can show a lot of different false rumors that I didn't even know that I didn't even know existed and could happen to someone. So what I worry about doing my own little self-research there, I'm always so worried that I'm going to give out some sort of wrong information. So that's why I definitely usually try to fact check myself. And if I ever do get wrong information, I would want to be corrected because I don't want to be those people that like spread wrong information, get corrected, and then go, but I'm right. Have you ever seen those kind of people? Off topic, definitely very far off topic, but I also have been hearing lately on different news that some people excuse using AI art because of different mental disorders they have, where it's like, oh, I have ADHD, so it's really hard for me to do art. I have ADHD and it's really hard for me to do art sometimes too. I can't just sit down and focus on one thing. I have to be doing either something else or something. Sometimes it's just really hard to just sit down and focus on something. I even have some art projects that I never finished. You know that city project? Never finished. I should probably get to finishing that because I want to finish that. I just can't urge myself to finish something sometimes. And I feel like that can become a serious problem sometimes. And I can understand the aspect of it's really hard for me to just sit down and do it. And that in a way is a kind of a good argument because it's like, oh, I can understand the struggle there, but it's also a really bad argument because AI art, you're not making anything, so you're not learning from it. And actually, because now I'm not saying I'm a good artist, but because of my ADHD, it gives me a lot more ideas of what to make and what to create. And I always found I loved just drawing because whenever I couldn't focus on a test, for example, I recently did my TSI so I can go into Lone Star College. And the only way I was actually able to focus on my essay was when they gave me those blank piece of paper, take a quick little mind break, scribble something on that blank piece of paper to draw something to get my mind just to ease out, calm down, get myself distracted for a little bit, and then I could get myself right back to it. Of course, that doesn't always work, but because I did that, I was able to go on to finish the TSI. And actually, compared to the rest of my tests on the TSI, my essay ended up being the best score I got on the TSI because I took that mind break, because I decided to go onto the site and draw. And if I never really found that passion or that effort or tried to teach myself how to draw, I probably wouldn't have that. If I always ended up dedicating my art onto AI, I probably wouldn't have ever been able to access that art to help me get to that TSI. And if you think, oh, it's it's like I just have a really hard time doing it or something like that. My argument is, if you're really having that hard of a time figuring something out, I wouldn't suggest not doing it. In fact, I would suggest probably do it more. Because, for example, I hate swimming. I still hate swimming after still doing it a lot. Swimming sucks. It gets my hair weird and gross. And I hate having to wash it out every single time I go swimming. But because I went swimming, it did help me correct some of the mistakes I make, so when I need to use them in the future, like there's a flood or anything, I would know how to protect myself. Of course, drawing won't teach you any special skill to protect yourself, but it can help when you're super angry, stressed, or sad to just get it out somehow. Now, I was looking at my old art. Sucked. Really bad art. Really bad. And even worse than how I draw now. And that's saying something. But I looked at it, and I was actually concerned for younger me, because it looks like I was going through something really sad or stressful. And thinking back on the time when I drew that, it makes sense. But but basically what I'm saying is, even though it is super stressful or aggravating, or you think, I just can't do this, you can at least, even if it sucks, you can at least look back on it, be like, oh, hey, that's how I was feeling. And sometimes it even helps you heal from that, because I was drawing all that really sad art at the time, I was able to kind of look at it and be like, why am I drawing really sad crap? And of course my mindset wasn't great at the time, and I was thinking, it's like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I can now also go, no, there's something wrong and I need to talk to someone. So art doesn't have to be this kind of struggle. For example, reading. I have a really hard time reading because of my ADHD. And some days I can read whole chapters, a whole book, if I'm dedicated to it enough. And I'm pretty sure I have before. But some days I'll read a chapter and then I end up just going brain dead. I end up going, I can't do this. No. Like, it sucks. It really does. And sometimes it even ruins books for me, because I'm like, my head is just being so painful and it hurts so much to read this book. I just cannot finish it, and then I never finish it. And it just ruins things for me. And sure, that is partially my fault. I have some blame to it, but I can also show some aspects of, okay, this was a little bit of my ADHD. Now, now that I've and sometimes I have a really hard time organizing my thoughts. For example, now, and it can be really hard for some people to understand me. But of course I still do it. I still talk about it. I still communicate it. And through my books, through the books I read, and through the books I love to read, I pushed through and I learned to love them. Some of the book series that are my favorite are ones that I pushed through. And a good thing about art is you get to see how far you've come. And also, it's a skill. Like, for example, you wouldn't place a robot in a basketball match and have him win, have that robot win multiple goals, beating all of the other humans, and go, yep, that's a real basketball player. You wouldn't do that. If you look at that, the actual achievement is the effort that human took, the strength, the mobility, they took time and effort in their day to work and work and work on that. And that created some of the best basketball players in history to make people memorize that. And if you just have AI do that for you, or a robot play those things, it's not really an achievement. It's just they got it done. And it's the same thing with art too. Art is a work and it's an experience, and it's you put effort into it. And if something just generates from different platforms that it's taken and just did it in 5 seconds, it's not the same, because you didn't put in the effort, and it's not, one, showing your human emotion, and 2, it's just it just doesn't give you that same rush of achievement. For example, you know the Starry Night painting. Everyone knows the Starry Night painting. It is the most beloved painting out there in the world, right? Okay, now let's say why it was the most beloved painting. It was a milestone for the time period. Yes. Did people like the art at this time? No, but it became really popular later on once people saw its worth. Now, now, was it pretty? Yes, it was pretty. But was that all? No. It's had a special meaning into it. It showed the aspect of the character in that painting. Starry Night was of a person who was, I wouldn't really say grieving, but was really depressed. And you can see his emotions through the screaming face painting, through multiple different paintings of it. But you can also see the beauty in the art, and you can see the human emotion and self-expression in that painting. And people remember it because it took him days on end working on that painting. It took him hours upon hours to paint that painting. The Starry Night was a great and beautiful masterpiece through a creative interpretation that can only come from a human brain. And then, if yes, you can have AI generate that Starry Night painting again, but will it have the same human aspect, that same human effort that it took to paint that painting? No. And I might be repeating information here, but it just doesn't feel worth it. It feels unfulfilling. And another thing is, art is meant to represent where the world is at. Now, for example, I am currently trying to figure out how to write a story called Endgame, and it's about different people from different families and stuff, and their families become important later on in the story for another character, but they have so many different experiences, and they're coming in together to kind of learn how to work together and fight this thing that they're kind of all forced into, kind of thing. Now, where was my point with this? I made all those characters, and they each have an emotion, and they each have something that represents the today issues. Even though it's in a fictional fantasy kind of world, it does describe today's issues, because I put aspects of things that I have seen with other people. For example, Leo, his father absolutely hates him. Not because of anything Leo did. I guess I wouldn't say his father, it's more of his uncle. But because Leo was born from one side being Asian and one side being Hispanic. And even though his uncle is Hispanic, he hates Asian people. And because of that, because he knows that this child is a mixture of both, he ends up hating on Leo because of that. And that's a thing that I don't think some people discuss, of people of culture being racist to other people in culture. And it can happen. I've seen it happen multiple times, and at first I thought it's not that big of a deal because they're both from people in culture, but when someone told me specifically about how it was affecting them and how it was making them feel and stuff, it made me rethink that, and makes me realize, because I was kind of dismissing it because I'm like, I'm not a person, even though I have a Polynesian history and backstory and my family. Anyway, even though I have that aspect and culture in my mind, I mostly grew up white. And so I was thinking it's probably something I don't fully understand, and so I won't get into. But then I started hearing different people's stories about how it does hurt them, and it does have some sort of effect on them, and I wanted to show that. And then there's this other character who has these parents who are super sweet and caring in front of everyone else, very toxic behind the scenes. Were they physically abusive? No. But were they mentally abusive? Yes. And part of the aspect is them not fully understanding someone who has different mental disorders. And so are they meaning to be toxic? No. Are they toxic? Yes. And that is another thing that I just don't think AI will understand or fully express in different stories that are written about it, because it might say the stereotypical stuff, but it's not going to feel human, and it's not going to feel like it's an actual thing. And so if AI is representing the art of our culture and our future, then our future is very dull. Does that make sense? I want to make sense. Because that writing, it has, even though the main story is meant to kind of have a moral of things are not what it's always seemed kind of theme, there's also a lot of different representations of different things that I personally have seen and looked at through a certain lens, and I want to bring certain types of representation out there, and I just don't think AI can do that. Now, I keep going on and on about AI, and it feels endless, I know, but it's a serious issue for me, because one, I'm an artist, and two, art has always helped me. I have been in some very dark places, and I don't think that I would be able to make it out the other side without certain aspects of things happening in my life to help me get through that. And part of those aspects were art, because they helped me process and think through that emotion and put it onto paper. Art tells a story, and I don't want my story to be generated. I want my story to be told. Am I making sense? I don't know. I usually don't like to go into a lot of controversial topics or arguments, and I don't like to make certain things a big deal. But AI, it always just irks me, because it's just become so normalized to just generate art. And to think about little kids just learning that I'm never gonna be good enough, that I just need to generate my way through to become a great artist, it actually hurts me. Because art is something that I think can help everybody. It's a form of therapy, if that makes sense. Like, you wouldn't want to talk to a robot about your problems. you wouldn't want to give a robot all your personal information. Why should you do the same for art? Now, if you use art, I'm not here to be like, you're a bad person. You're not a bad person. And I don't think anybody who uses AI art is a bad person. I just think they don't understand something. It's I don't want to say my way is better, because it's not. I have a lot of different things that I can totally be better on. But what I do know is that if AI art is becoming our future, there's gonna be a lot more sad people in the world. Because if that is our future, if all artists are meant to generate the art to become popular, to become famous, to become something, nothing is going to be authentic anymore, and it's all going to be the same. And it's gonna hurt a lot, because not just for me, but for you guys, because I think art, I don't even know how to fully process everything. Making each painting, every single painting, every single drawing I have made has helped me work out some sort of issue. And I may not be thinking about that issue at the time, but when I look back on it, it was there. And it's in my paintings everywhere. And you might not be able to see it, but when I look at my paintings and my drawings, even the most goofiest little photos, I always see this common theme that I have. It's everywhere. In every single painting, in every single form of expression, there is something that I cannot ever put into words, into my drawings, into my paintings, into everything that I've done. And it's me. It is literally me. It is an extension of who I am as a person. I wasn't born with a talent, and I'm not saying I have a talent even in the first place, but it's there. And I've been through hell and back. And then to think about what it would be like to just generate something instead of actually creating it. because I've used AI before to see what it would be like. And I've constantly been trying to use that, constantly trying to rationalize, like, oh, what if I try this? What if I try that? And to think that if when I was in my hardest moments in my life and I just generate something to try to make myself feel better, or instead of just thinking about what was going on while I draw, and it helped me calm down and realize what's going on with me, and to erase all of that with something that I can just press a button and not even have to think about, and it just makes for me. It hurts, and it hurts badly, because I don't want so many little kids to do that. And I don't want it to be rationalized as normal. Art is just something you can't create with a robot. And I don't want to say stuff like that because I don't want to sound like those old people who are like, oh, technology's bad because once they start using it in the factories, we're all out of the job. This is not a factory job. A factory job is something that's mindless and is repetitive and will do over and over again. You don't actually have to fully, I guess I wouldn't say fully think, but you don't have to fully be present there in the mind to kind of constantly put lids onto bottles. But you do have to be there in the mind. You have to be present in the moment to make something. And do you really want to be known for, like, because art is something that helps you create and then you become known for that kind of work. Do you really want to be known for something that was generated instead of made? You don't, because if you look at inventors, they're usually very known for making the TV, something that was created from their own brain. People who made cars, that was made from someone's human brain. Don't you want to be known for that? Don't you want to be known for making your own art piece, for your own idea, for your own creation? Don't you want to be known for something you did instead of having the credit go to a robot? And sure, you might be saying, oh, people use reference art. Okay, I use reference art sometimes. For example, in this photo right here, a thing I'm thinking about for my actual story, I used one reference for right here. And that's it. But if you look at the reference photo and then you look at my actual drawing, it looks nothing like the thing I was referencing. Because I started drawing what the picture was, what the reference was, and then I got an idea and started building onto that, and I started putting my own self-expression onto it, and then I went from there to building all of this that wasn't even in the reference photo. And then I used to use reference photos or tutorials on how to form basic bodies or heads or something like that. And now I'm doing it without a reference. My phone is recording me right now. I have no way to access a reference because the thing that I usually access for the reference is recording me. And now I can just go off my brain and think, oh, let me work something out here. I don't want people to get rid of something that can help so many other people. You know? Because there are a lot of hard things in this world, and I don't want another thing that can help millions be taken down by people who don't fully understand the industry itself. And I think it's best if we can actually learn something. I don't want something always done for me. I want to be able to do something myself because this kind of stuff is here to help make your life easier. But art, you're not saving any time by doing that. You're just giving yourself more of a void. Like, for example, I was just doom scrolling on my phone and I was just upset. And I was not thinking properly. And I couldn't get my mind to think right. And of course, I'm not saying that art can fix it, but if you see here, I'm drawing a picture instead of having to just sit there alone in that abyss. And look, I had many not so good friends in middle school. They hurt me badly and made me feel in many different ways that I wouldn't want to publicly exactly explain, but I will say this: if I didn't have something to help me just process process what happened, if I didn't have art with me all this time to help me work through these emotions, I wouldn't be making this video today. Art has saved me, and I'm not even sugarcoating it. I'm not, no, what I mean is, it is me sugarcoating it. I'm not, because art has done a lot more than just save me. I don't think I can describe how many times just that I needed a break, that I needed some sort of form of help from something, anything. And I was able to just process what was going on just with this. I and I don't want it to be overrun by corporate or money making things. I want it to stay this sort of comfort. Does that make sense? Am I making sense here? If I know I'm just repeating over and over, but I don't know what else to say here. I this topic has always been a harder one on my end. Because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to have this feeling like I said something wrong. And that's why I don't like to physically be there talking about these issues. I would much rather be there, like, I don't. I like to be. I like to be a follower, not really somebody who goes up and goes, "Hey, that's wrong." I I like to be those people where someone goes, "Hey, I have an issue with that," and I go, "Yeah, you're right. That is a problem," and then I follow along with them. But with AI, I just don't feel like I can sit back and be like, give that silent support. I feel like I do have to say something. I feel like I do have to talk about it somewhere, somehow. Yeah, the whole thing I drew. I hope you enjoyed me just ranting. Bye.